Your customer base is the cheapest pipeline you own, and nobody is working on that pipeline. Let's talk about it for a minute. You can, as a founder, you can for sure tell me very accurately what's your CAC, your cost of acquisition. You can tell me exactly how much money you invest in every new logo. But if I ask you a different question, how much expansions do you have from your existing customers? So then you go quiet. You have no idea. Why? Because all your efforts go to the new logos, but you have gold there and you are not using it. At Clicktale, we have a similar situation. I was hired to own a business unit of around 100 accounts and around $10 million. So of course there was a big problem with churn, but once we solved that problem and churn was out of the equation, was totally solved, and the customers were healthy. So then we wanted to start having expansions, but it's not as simple as you think it is, because again, all the efforts were always focused on the new logos. Only once the base was actually healthy, we started noticing this new problem that was that we didn't have an expansion system in place, not the right mindset. Why? Because nobody was owning it. Like sales felt that they will only jump in when they are called for a clear deal. And CS felt was not the responsibility. So nobody was actually with the hands on the job. Nobody was seeking for those opportunities. So sales, they hardly show up because they were not called with everything. They wanted the whole meal to be ready and before they sit to eat. And then CS felt unnoticed, and the CS didn't actually look for them. They didn't have the right mindset. Nobody really defined their job. You need to look for expansion opportunities. So we started to rebuild around that conversation, how we work together, how we change, how we use the same systems or similar systems on the mindset that we change to reduce the churn so much and to have healthy customers, also to find expansion opportunities. So there are basically three things that you need to have this machine going. The first one is you need to have a proactive churn reduction, but then also a proactive search of opportunities. You need to be all the time checking the voice of customers to see how the customers are feeling, in which stage they are. Are they cooked enough to try to sell them something else, or is not the right timing and we need to work a bit more? And then to manage the expansion pipeline and to track it in the same way that you manage the customers at risk, in the same way that you manage in the pre-sales before the sale, all the pipeline. You need to have a pipeline of expansions for the post-sales accounts. You will need to put it as a metric, need to be measured, needs to be part of the conversations, part of the one-on-ones. The CSM needs to understand it's part of their role, and they need to be given the tools to do it. And there needs to be an owner to own that line. So there is one specific line for the expansion. There is a specific conversation. There is a specific tools in place. You are already measuring the voice of the customers. Everything now is on place to start building that expansion machine. So again, same account, same team. What changed is the mindset, is the way we stop first leaking those customers because they were churning, and then that we were treating those customers as gold, as opportunities, and became very, very clear how we can expand them, which ones are ready to expand, and how can we work together with them. So here is a test for you. Pull your last 20 close won expansion deals, hopefully if you have expansion deals, and check. There was a proper line, a proper method, was part of a proper system, or was just luck? If the most part of them just happened, was just luck, so then you don't have a system in place, and we should talk. Because you should work with the expansion, with similar methodologies that you work in sales. It's not clear, like they are not going to happen automatically, the post-sales expansions. You need a system, no luck. There needs to be a training, there needs to be a system, there needs to be a simple process to follow for the CSMs to find those opportunities. So if you need help sorting it, Talk to me, we will work together. See you in the next one.